This week in Grace's Girls Club, we are joined by a dear friend of mine, a woman that I greatly respect, Katie. Welcome to Grace's Girls Club. Tell us your name, your title, and the company you work for.
Hi, Grace. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. My name is Katie Magee. I am a Science and Operations Officer with the National Weather Service in Huntsville, and I also work as part-time faculty at the University of Alabama in Huntsville.
That's right. So chances are, if you are educated on weather in Huntsville, or if you have ever had a weather question in Huntsville and you haven't come to me for that, chances are it somehow involved Katie. So that's how that goes. So Katie, walk me through both your job at the Weather Service and at UAH, and tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day is like with each of those.
Sure. So with the Weather Service, it's important to understand the mission there is to protect lives and property by issuing watches, warnings, advisories, forecasts for emergency managers, for the public, for our wonderful partners like you, Grace, who help keep people safe and let them know what actions to do. So that is the Weather Service. My job as a Science and Operations Officer is a member of management. We have a great management team at our office, and I help make sure that the whole team at the Weather Service office in Huntsville is prepared to do their job from the easiest day to the absolute hardest day. As both of us very well know, weather is unpredictable. No 2 days are ever the same. And so when the weather is at its worst, we have to make sure that our teams are at their best. And so that's ultimately what the job of the Science and Operations Officer is. Now, for my role with the University of Alabama in Huntsville, that is so exciting. We work very closely with faculty there. One, Vivian Bledsoe, she's amazing. So we work closely with her to help teach a course in the fall for students that helps prepare them for jobs in an operational field of meteorology. So not necessarily broadcast, but we do touch on broadcast fields as well, just to make sure they're aware of their careers. And then in the spring, that's when my part-time job kind of kicks in. Not every spring, but most springs. And so we teach an immersive class where the students go through exercises and apply the foundational knowledge. You can see all of my textbooks and binders and everything I have behind me from those grueling courses that we go through to major in meteorology, and apply them in a real world sense. And especially at the end of your undergraduate career, it's fantastic to see the students really apply and gain confidence in that knowledge that they've learned and really help them understand that they will thrive in this field.
I love that. You're on both sides of the spectrum. You're helping students get into the meteorology field and really become meteorologists, you know, on the tail end of their educational career. But then you're also using all that knowledge in your job, and you're helping the public understand it in layman's terms and in ways that's most important to them. You really kind of have both going for you, Katie.
It's a lot to balance, but it's so important to surround yourself with wonderful people. And so I've been so fortunate at every stage in my career to be surrounded by wonderful people.
It's true. It's true. We love our jobs and we love our interests in weather, but it really is the people that makes the job. So speaking of the letters in STEM, right, back to the interests in the job, science, technology, engineering, and math, which of those do you say most applies to your job, or which sequence of those?
Ooh, I think if I had to pick any combination, I think science and technology apply the most to what I do. In terms of science, with the part-time job that I sometimes have at the university, you are taking that hard science that you learn, all of the math and chemistry and physics, and applying that to the atmosphere and understanding how that evolves. In terms of the Weather Service, science is changing all of the time. So in order for my job as a Science and Operations Officer to keep the team ready, it's important that I understand the latest innovations in both science and technology to make sure we understand how the atmosphere works, we understand how to interpret what the atmosphere is doing, and also are kept up with the latest technology that can help us really interpret the great mass of information that is coming out. Weather models are getting better and better, and so understanding how can we use that to better tailor our message to help keep people safe. And that is another aspect of science. So it kind of weaves in and out technology. But another aspect of science is social science. And that is something we're really working on to make sure that the message that we're saying is not only easily understood, but also actionable, so people understand what it means and what they should do.
That is such a good point. I'm so glad you brought that up. So much of the new material that I've been reading is not just what we're saying, but how we're saying it. Does it look like we're overhyping something? Does it look like we really care about people and I need you to know this? Are we talking too scientifically using acronyms? It's so important. And I love that you touched on that because that is the part of the science that we use.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I always say. Whatever your other interests are, there's a way you can weave that with a passion for weather. The meteorology field is expanding so rapidly. It's amazing. We can take everyone in this field.
Didn't I tell you guys she was a wise woman? Exhibit A, right here, right here. So, Katie, you touched a little bit on it before with the books behind you, but walk me through the type of schooling that you went through to get your degree and to be where you are today. Walk me through the educational process of getting here.
Sure. So I got my undergraduate degree in meteorology from North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then after that, I got my master's in earth science from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and that's in Charlotte, North Carolina. So very much Tar Heel from the North Carolina.
You absolutely are. Why did you choose to study meteorology?
Ever since I was young, I've always been fascinated by the environment around me. I had books on naming rocks and understanding geology. I would look and try and identify different types of trees and plants, and then clouds in the sky. And so growing up in North Carolina, a lot of the weather that we were impacted by were hurricanes. And so that really helped fuel that passion where, yes, I enjoyed the environment around me, but it really was the weather that hooked me the most. And so going through high school and make a very difficult decision, what do I do next? Where do I go next? Meteorology was the leap that I took, and it's been an amazing, amazing career.
I love that. That is such a cool origin story. So now fast forward, you're in the job, in your career field that you chose. What's the best part of your job?
There's so many wonderful things. It's a good thing that that's a difficult question to ask, right? That's what you want out of your job. Like, wow, which of the best things do I want to talk about? I think as a science and operations officer, okay, my favorite thing, I'm training people. I'm making sure that they know how to do their job as it is right now, as it will exist tomorrow, and meet their own personal goals. So one of my but I know I've said favorite a lot. I really enjoy when I teach someone something and then I see them passing that knowledge on to somebody else in the office. It helps understand the value that you have in your position and a multiplicative effect that whatever energy, time, and passion you put into this job really pays off in the end, because ultimately we're all here to try and keep everybody safe.
Absolutely. I love that. You have such a heart for service. That's so sweet. So if that's one of the best parts of your job, what are some of the challenges of your job that hit your desk every day that you have to problem solve and just figure it out?
Yes. So another part of the job is I'm there to make everyone else's day go a little bit smoother. So I may walk in and have a plan of, okay, I'm going to read this paper and then study this facet and then take this person through this exercise, and then who knows what problems may erupt that day. And so then I become a little bit more of a troubleshooter, everything from fixing someone's laptop to potentially sitting down and working on the forecast or issuing warnings. And we call that working radar. So I could work the radar shift as well. So as we well know, the weather sometimes will derail your plans. And so that really is the biggest challenge there.
Absolutely. And, you know, I was talking to our bosses several months ago, and he said the hardest part about being a manager is not your job. It's handling everybody else while they try to do their job, you know, and I feel like that kind of comes into play with you.
It certainly can be. I mean, you know, everyone attacks it with the best spirit. And so you just, you know, you do what you can. And when you don't know, you ask others for help. That's certainly something I lean on quite a lot because I do not know everything.
Okay, I have one last question for you, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But Katie, if you had a message to young girls, young students that wanted to join the STEM force, what would your message to them be?
I think lean into those around you, especially as you're going through some of those science. For me, it really was the higher level calculus and differential equations, the chemistries, the physics. There were a lot of times I wanted to give up. And so it ended up being the team around, working with other students, creating study groups that really helped push me through. And so I was able to collect this entire collection of binders and notes behind me because of what ended up becoming lifelong friends in school. And so it really is just working with those around you until you get to a point where you feel comfortable and suddenly your passion comes alive and you're able to really thrive in that environment.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? I so relate to you there. That second half of junior year and senior year of college was a struggle. I remember so
Yes.
many of my friends, they had easy senior years. They had already taken a bunch of classes. They got out of class at like 10 a.m. every day. They didn't have class on Friday. Meteorology is not that. So it was very different. But you're right. It was the people that got me through. And then, you know, when you graduate, there's always some folks that say, well, it's just a piece of paper. You're just walking across the stage and getting a piece of paper. But when my group of friends that had to work so hard and, like you said, embrace those challenges, when we walked across the stage, we were never prouder. That meant so much to us because as a group, we were like, we made it, we did it. We didn't even know if we could, but we did it.
It's really rewarding, and to know that you were able to push through yourself and know that you were able to help others and they were able to help you, and yeah, see that and have it pay off in that moment is such a great feeling.
I love that. I love that. Well, Katie, you are the best and you're just awesome. And I know everyone's going to love watching this. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your tips and tricks and your expertise with us.
Thank you so much, Grace. It's always such a pleasure talking to you. Your passion, your light, your energy, it's always such an amazing time.
You are so kind. Well, have a great day and I'll talk to you soon.